Hey guys, Gavin Vengeance here, and today we're going to recap the previous live letter from the producer, part 2 for patch 3.2, The Gears of Change. So without further ado, here we go. So the very first thing that we were shown was a new mode called Stone, Sky, and Sea. And it's pretty much just a series of 3-minute challenges, you fighting a striking dummy. This is only for one player, it's only meant for solo. And there's no training dummy right now for healers to go against for these challenges, just DPS and tanks. And they will vary based upon which job that you pick. The second thing that we were shown was just a few minor job adjustments, mainly for tanks. And what they're trying to do now is that a lot of tanks are gone more strength build, and they kind of want you to still focus on being a tank. So what they're doing now is that they're making vitality play a bigger part in you doing damage. So vitality now is actually going to affect the damage that you output as a tank, and it's going to make it more mandatory, and they're also going to reduce how much strength actually affects the damage that you do deal. Also, there's going to be a couple of job action changes coming. There's going to be changes made to Sword Oath, Shield Oath for Paladins. There's also going to be different changes made for Astrologian based on how they draw their cards. And also, where Machinus right now is more of a burst DPS, they're making changes so that way it's able to sustain its DPS over a longer period of time now. And they're also changing the hate generation that you get when you're playing Astrologian as well. There's also going to be minor changes made to the rate in which the limit break bar fills. They're adding in a new Beast Tribe quest for the Nath, which this mount will be available through questing through them. And the way that the Nath Beast Tribe quests are going to work, it's pretty much identical to the Vanu, so there's not a whole lot of change right there with that. And they also showed off the turtle mount, which it's awesome. It spins in the air, and you're sat on top of it, and you spin along with it. So there's going to be a whole lot of dizzy players, pretty much. And it's going to be great. It's fantastic. So go and spend that 200,000 MGP right now. So the next thing that we ended up finding out about was a new PvP mode that's coming out called the Feast. It's only for people who are level 60, and I think everything's synced down to item level 150. It's going to come in 5 different variations. The first one is going to be 8 versus 8, but the win-loss ratio doesn't really apply to that one. Then there's also going to be 4 versus 4, which you can queue up for solo, or you can queue up for in a light party. Both of which have 2 variations, so 4 versus 4 solo queue, in which the win-loss rate does apply or doesn't apply. And then you'll also have the 4 versus 4 light party, which the win-loss rate does apply or doesn't apply. So the way that the Feast is going to work is, in order to win, you actually have to accumulate medals. You can accumulate a total amount of medals depending on the match, or you can also just hold the most amount of medals for your team before the timer runs out. The more you kill a player, the less medals you'll get from that player, so it kind of forces you to kill more players, or have your party members go and pick up the medals that another person drops once they're killed. However, like I said, if you do keep killing the same one, you're going to get less and less medals from that person. So you're encouraged to kill various opponents. And when you collect the medals, you also get a debuff. Now, that debuff makes you weaker with the more medals that you're carrying. So that's where it comes in, where you have to actually coordinate with your team members to pick up medals, so that way you don't have that higher amount of debuff, which makes you a lot more vulnerable to being killed. And the reasoning behind the win-loss ratio and having the separate queues as well for this is because the win-loss ratio is pretty much going to be your ranking system for the new PvP mode. There's going to be 6 different tiers, and based on whichever tier that you end up becoming, different prizes will be available for you, like I said, based on your ranking. So it'll start at bronze, it goes up to platinum, and there was a 6th tier that we or not up platinum, up to diamond, sorry. And when you get up to diamond, I'm not sure what comes after that ranking, but here's a shot of the diamond gear. And yeah, so pretty much there's like 6 different tiers. The PvP is going to work in like a season mode, is what they call it. So a season's pretty much going to take the course of about 3 months. So kind of quarterly in real life time. And within that 3 months, you accumulate a certain ranking, like I said, based on your win-loss ratio for the ranked matches. And whichever one you end up on, that's going to be your ranking for that season. Now, when the season resets, you're pretty much going to be right back down to the bottom again, and you have to end up working your way back up to that diamond ranking. So through the battlefield of the feast, there's also going to be like supply boxes that spawn, and based on how much damage you do to that box, one of the team members, the one that actually does the most damage to the supply box, is going to be rewarded with a kit, as they call it. And there's 4 different types of kits that you can get. There's an offensive kit, a defensive kit, a medical kit, and an adrenaline kit. Each of those have their own effects, which could help change the tide of battle. And yeah, so the supply boxes can be found through the battle and battlefield, I should say. And you just have to like destroy that supply box in order to hopefully get that kit if you do the most damage. I also almost forgot to mention that each party member that participates in the feast starts off with 100 medals each. So that's pretty much what you start off with, and like I said, the goal is to build as many as you can before the time runs out, or before you hit that allotted amount. Now, we can expect to see the feast as soon as the patch drops on February 23rd. They said that there's going to be about 2 weeks that they're actually going to do like a little bit of working with with what they have, I guess, for the feast to gather feedback and see what kind of tweaks and stuff and adjustments that they need to make for it. And then after that 2 weeks is going to happen, there's going to be a preseason, which is going to last roughly about 3 weeks. And then we should see patch 3.25, I guess, at the end of that, 3 weeks. So about 5 weeks after the patch drops, that's when the actual like new season's going to start, and that season's probably going to last about I think they said that it was like 3.5 months or something. That season 1 is officially going to like be underway, I guess. Alright, now to run down a few other things a little bit more quickly. They did show that there were 2 new dungeons coming out. There was going to be the Lost City of Andapur hard mode, which apparently we're just going to go further into the Lost City of Andapur. And then there was also another dungeon called the Anti-Tower, which looks really interesting. It's just like a tower flipped upside down, which is like Charlatan architecture, I believe, at some point in time, which I'm sure we'll learn more about it in the lore anyways. They also showed off a new Warring Triad battle. Well, they showed off the new boss, I guess, for the trial itself, which is named Sephiroth, not Sephiroth, not to be confused with the boss from Final Fantasy VII, but Sephiroth, which he is the fiend of the Warring Triad. And the battle looks pretty cool. He looks awesome. Here's a screenshot of him right here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. We were also shown Alexander Midas. They just showed a couple like sizzle reel things of like different areas that we're going to be seeing in that. Showed a little bit of actually they showed a screenshot of the gear, which I have right here. And other than that, I mean, they're saying that Alexander normal mode and savage mode will be released simultaneously when the patch drops. And Savage Mode, the drops are going to work the exact same way that they did in Savage Mode for Gordian. And yeah, I forgot, the weapons for Sephiroth also have a screenshot of that. Looks pretty cool. I can't wait to actually get my hands on them. Well, we did end up getting a little preview that there's going to be like new crafted gear that's coming out. The crafted gear, you can actually end up making crafted gear that can be melded with materia to actually allow you to tackle the Savage Mode for Alexander Midas. a little bit earlier than what you normally would. So people going for world first and stuff like that, that's huge for them. They said that the materials for them is not really going to be that hard to pick up as well, so it shouldn't really take a whole lot of time to gear yourself up and get right into Savage and actually like tackle it without having to wait for the cap for the new tomes, which they're adding in as well, and I'll touch on that in a second. But yeah, Alexander's coming out. Gear looks pretty cool. Areas look awesome. Definitely hoping to get into that, take that down. They also, yeah, like I said, they added in crafts for high level gear like that. They also added in a bunch of like crafting recipes for glamour based items. And there's also going to be like a new gear set of high Allegan looking armor, which you can actually like dye now, different colors and stuff. But you apparently you have to have like a high Allegan base in order to like start to craft those recipes. And then they showed off this thing called the Orchestrion, which I refer to as the Jukebox. It's just a furnishing you can put in your house. Anybody can go up and play whatever music that they want to off of it, and the musical loop, it is proximity based, so the closer you are to the jukebox, the more you'll actually hear the music. The further you get away from it, the more faint it'll become. But the cool thing about it is that if you want to like unlock BGMs for you to play through the Orchestrion, is that you actually have to go and do like trials and stuff like that to unlock the materials, which you can then craft into sheet music. Once you get the sheet music, you can use it like a consumable item, and then you can actually play your specific BGMs that you have unlocked on the jukebox. They're not shared; they are individual. So you have to like unlock that BGM music if you wanted to play it in the house. Alright, now for Diadem, there's also going to be a few other changes as well, based on difficulty, which is odd to me, I find. But apparently, it's gonna require less Aether Currents for you to gather now, based on each mode, in order for you to actually like start flying in the area and stuff like that. The hard mode is also being reduced from 90 minutes of being in Diadem to 60 minutes. Normal is being reduced from 90 to 45, and easy is being reduced from 90 to 30 minutes. And also, like, the time to re-enter is being reduced from 45 minutes to 30 minutes. They also said that they were making adjustments to how many tombstones that you're actually going to get from completing objectives in the list. I'm not sure if that means that we're going to get more or less. And they also said that there's going to be a bonus awarded to the group that actually like pops the fresh tracks, which kind of has me worried a little bit, because I mean, if people aren't announcing when fresh tracks are coming up now, it's just going to be a complete cluster, and there's just going to be like a whole lot of people dying left and right because there's so many mobs popping, and then somebody's like, oh, fresh tracks, and then all of a sudden there's a Brachiosaurus on top of everybody with 4 or 5 mobs piled up. I'm not really sure if I'm liking that change too much, but that's another change that they also announced. So, like I said, with the tombstones changing, they're actually going to end up taking out the tombstones of Soldiery. They're going to be completely removed. The Allegan Tombstones of Law will be no longer available. You're actually going to be able to trade them in at like an exchange rate, I guess, like they always do, for esoterics. And then the esoterics are going to be completely uncapped now. You can get as many as you want. And then there's going to be a new tombstone coming in called the Tombstones of Lore or Folklore, depending on what they decide to name it for the English release. Well, English patch, I guess, or English servers. There were also a ton of like quality of life changes that they're also like making in the update as well. Sword and shields are now going to drop at the same time from now on, so you're not going to get them separately anymore. Gathers are going to be able to like not gather whatsoever if the duty finder window pops. That's the end of your gathering. You're not able to do any more until you queue and do your dungeon or whatever, I guess. All roulettes, you'll actually be able to participate in them with a party, which is awesome. Great change, love that one. But that does not affect another roulette, which I'll be mentioning in a few minutes, or actually in a couple seconds. There's also going to be a teleport history tab that's going to be added to your teleport list, which just pretty much shows your most recent teleports. You're going to have a new feature, which is actually going to like be for idle camera movements, for like the group camera and stuff like that. So there's going to be like new idle animations and stuff. There's hotbar improvements that they added, so it's actually going to show like your cooldown timers for individual abilities a little bit better and stuff. You're also there's going to be a setting, I think, that they mentioned for numbers, which actually shows like, you know, it counts down exactly to when your abilities reset, which is awesome. Definitely gonna have to enable that one. Like I said, there's going to be more furnishings added. There's going to be another furnishing for the, I can't remember how to pronounce this word, the esthetician, the haircut guy. So yeah, you're actually going to be able to like restyle your character and stuff like that through the house, which is wicked. There's going to be like a furnishing dye preview mode that they're going to add in, and you'll also be able to like sell all that like crap items that you don't usually, you just go and NPC them off. You'll actually be able to NPC them to your retainer now. And there's going to be a few other minor adjustments as well. That's probably not really worth mentioning, and leads me to my next point. The materia. They're changing the materia system again. They said, you know, you're able to stack in strength decks, that, you know, your main stat materias, 2 slotted spaces, but you're not allowed to overmeld those main stats anymore as of the patch. And also, any type of materia can be melded into like any of the open slots, but you're not going to be able to further meld those main stats into the open slots. The other thing that they said that they're also going to be doing with materia is that they're going to make materia level 4 and 5 easier to obtain now. So that's a wicked bonus that, you know, the availability is going to be going up on those. And also, they said that I think that there was going to be like materia slots added to the new raid gear, so we'll actually be able to upgrade the new raid gear as well, which is awesome. They're also adding in this thing called the mentor system, and what it allows you to do is, if you're a player that's been playing for a while like myself, you're actually going to be able to enroll in this program called the mentor program, and it allows you to pretty much just like go and help the new players get up to where they need to be into the game, teach them, you know, the ins and outs of the game. You know, once you become a mentor, you'll get a icon next to your head or something, or next to your name, showing that you are a mentor and that you're like willing to help lower level players or like new players, like just be helpful to them pretty much. And you know, when you become a mentor, the benefit of it is that you'll like receive special achievements and stuff like that through doing like what they call the mentor duty roulette. So there's a new duty roulette coming in just for, you know, the experienced players to teach the newbies how to play the game, and, you know, just how to play their jobs properly and just help them out. So there'll be minor rewards as well for that. However, like, in order for you to become a mentor, there are certain conditions that you have to meet. One of those conditions being that you have to have had, I think it's 300 commendations. So you have to have 300 player commendations. You have to have had completed at least 1,000 dungeons, or 1,000. It's 1,000 trials and dungeons combined, I believe. You have to have that completed, and you have to have at least one level 60 job in each role, which is tank, healer, and DPS. You are able to also become a mentor for crafting gathering jobs. However, you have to have meeting one of the 2 required criteria, which are gathered over 300 collectibles, or you have to have had crafted over 100 collectibles. And you have to have at least one level 60 in the discipline of hand and land. And also, like, when you're a mentor, you'll have a new chat channel, so that way you can just talk to the newbies and stuff, and like I said, just help them out and everything. There's going to be a completely separate like mentor chat channel for that as well, which is also being added into the patch. And finally, I guess the best announcement for me personally, something that they waited until like the very end, obviously, the show, is this. Yep, that's right. Hildebrand's going to be back. They didn't really release a whole lot of details on it. Just wanted to say that he's going to be back in 3.2. So, that's it for my review of the live letter, or recap of the live letter, if you want to call it that. If you guys like it, you guys want me to keep doing stuff like this, let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Appreciate it very much. Thanks again for watching, guys. Take care.